Well, it's one of those things like, as long as I see Del McCurry up there, I know where the arrow's pointed. You know what I mean? Like the barometer of what
Exactly.
traditional bluegrass is.
Right.
What separates bluegrass from other genres, I guess, in your opinion?
I'm sorry, I didn't get the first part of that question. What was
What
it?
separates bluegrass from other genres?
Definitely the acoustic music and the instrumentation. I think that bluegrass bands are some of the most talented musicians that there are. I think people don't realize how talented bluegrass musicians are. And I think also the harmony. I think the three-part harmony and even the two-part harmony, as like the Osborne brothers. I think that is something because when you hear like a country song or you hear Americana, they'll have kind of if you listen to a record, they'll have the harmonies just as like a backup,
Yeah.
and you'll never hear a chorus and you're like, man, that three-part harmony is so strong in any other genre, and I'm obsessed with that, and that's why like Ricky Skaggs, and I've always listened to Ricky Skaggs since I was really little because I loved to hear Paul Brewster in there, and I love to hear that kind of strong harmony. And I think those are two things that are a huge deal with bluegrass music.
Hmm. Now,
I mean, in the songs as well, song choices and the songwriters, they sing about good stuff, about real life stuff, and that's also something that I'm definitely looking for in a song always, and that's bluegrass.
why the fiddle? Of all the instruments, what is it that attracted you to the fiddle?
Well, to be honest with you, my dad bought us all an instrument when we were very young, and he said, if you want to play it, you can, and if you don't want to, you don't have to play it. But I loved the fiddle. I always watched Alison Krauss and thought she looked so angelic, and I loved the way she looked with the fiddle, and I loved the way it sounded, and I always just thought if I could play it like those people could, then I would love it, and so I stuck with it. I think I got lessons for a year and then just kind of learned on my own, but I never picked it up and didn't like it. So I just kind of stuck with it.
What's the biggest thing you've taken away from this journey that you're currently on as a musician?
Ask me that one more time.
What's the biggest thing you've taken away in your life being a musician on this journey?
Wow, that's honestly all I do and think about is music. Like I don't do anything else. Like they ask me like what I do when I'm not on the road, and I literally sleep and then do laundry and think about what's next. So I have broken up with boyfriends because of it. Like, it is kind of hilarious, honestly. Like, people don't realize how much time you have to put into it. And I'm very serious about what I do, and I started at a very young age. But what's funny is that I didn't realize what I was getting into when I said I wanted to be in a band.
Yeah.
Like when we started traveling, I had absolutely no idea what I was getting into. And I don't regret it, but if I would have known how exhausting it can be mentally, I probably would have thought about it for a second. I would have done it because I love music, and you have to love it to do it. But
I mean, as a writer, I can attest to that I didn't know what I was getting myself into going into writing, and there's definitely been a lot of sacrifices and stubborn moments on my end of trying to get to where I need to go.
oh yeah, absolutely.
But there's that thing that, I knew really early on I wanted to be a writer. Like, 20 years old, I was like, this is what I want to do. But there's that point where you have a conversation with yourself personally, I guess, maybe even just in your head, of hell or high water.
Yeah.
This is what I want to do. And when you have that conversation, it seems like everything else is just details.
Well, yeah, I mean, because there are ups and downs with every job and everything that you would do besides music. There's going to be ups and downs, but there's something different emotionally about this job, about music. And when it's good, it couldn't be better. When it's good, it's like you're on top of the world and you could not do anything to make your life better at that moment, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But when it's bad and when you've had a bad day with music, it's very emotionally, it's
jarring.
It can really, yes, exactly. And it's something that you have to just remind yourself, I started doing this because I love it, and you have to not take it too seriously sometimes, because you've got to make it to where it's always fun, or sometimes the travel part of it is not worth it if you take it too seriously. Yeah. So,
well, you have to see humor in everyday life to survive in this business.
Exactly. And I think part of that is traveling with people that you care about, because I travel with two of my siblings, and then which is Kelsey. I travel with Kelsey and Buddy. They're both my siblings, and Buddy's my twin brother. And then Kelsey's married to the banjo player. So, and a lot of people couldn't travel with family, but they're like really close friends to me as well as family. So it works. And then Michael and Dominic, I've known forever, and we all really care about each other, and we've learned. You just learn people, and if you see that they're having a bad day, you kind of can tell. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And you just do what you do. You kind of say to yourself, or you help them, or. So we just know how to work with each other, and I think that's a big part of it. You got to have a band that you love more than anything else.
Well, my final question is, what is a life playing music, creating music, touring, interacting with people all over the spectrum, all over the world? What does that taught you about what it means to be a human being?
I'm kind of trying to figure out how to answer that question. Ask me the question again.
I guess when you have a platform of being an entertainer, and you see a lot of the world that other people might not be able to see, and just your own personal perspective of just daily interactions of all kinds of cool, interesting things, but also just things across the gamut of whatever, of just life. What is being in this position as a traveling musician and creating art and also interacting with people from all backgrounds? What does that touch about what it means to be a human being?
Oh man, there are so many. I can't even count on both hands how many times I've had a moment doing what I do that just has been so overwhelming with excitement. And just being able to, there's something about being able to play a song. It's very personal. For instance, like you would know this as a writer, writing a song and then playing it on stage for the first time. It's very personal and exciting. And I always like to think that each time I play music, I'm giving the audience something special or something different, something to remember, and something that they can take home and always want to come back and hear from Flatt Lonesome. But, just being able to even meeting all these heroes of mine, people that I always like to be able to say to people that I've always, for the most part, I've met people that I've wanted to meet, and it's been just as cool as I expected it to be. I spent an entire day with Alison Krauss recently, and
oh man,
it was like being with family. She was so nice and so just really normal and cool, like I am talking to you right now. It was so cool. And I've met Leanne Womack, who is just a huge hero of mine, and spent time with her. And Vince Gill will literally just stand there and talk to you like he's been waiting to talk to you all day. And it's just really cool to meet other people that you've looked up to your whole life, and it's just as you expected it to be, or just as you would hoped and dreamed it would be. And there's so many things about playing music that I love. I mean, I do love to travel. It's the hardest part of it, but it's very fun and exciting. And you do have to, I think people always say to Flatt Lonesome, don't get too big for us, or don't get to where you're like so-and-so who won't even talk to you. And I don't think I hope that it won't ever happen. I guess I can't say for sure, but we don't see ourselves that way, and I don't either. And it's funny because people will stare or they'll look, and I don't even think to myself, oh, I'm in a band, and they probably know my music. And then they'll come up to me and be like, are you at Flatt Lonesome? And I'm like, that's still crazy to me that I can be out in public and people will know who I am. Yeah. Or even just seeing people, you know, wearing a shirt or whatever. But quickly, I will tell you, last year we did the karaoke part of IBMA.
Yeah.
So we were just the band for the karaoke. And forever, I mean, we went way past the karaoke slot time because tons of people were getting up and they were playing Flatt Lonesome songs, like playing or singing them exactly the way that we do on the record.
That's
and
great.
I was literally, like, this one girl was probably 15, 16, and she got up and wanted to sing You're the One. And I was thinking, holy moly. And she sang it exactly the way that I sang it on the record. And I literally stood on the stage and cried because I couldn't believe that somebody liked Flatt Lonesome enough to want to do it exactly the way that we did, the way that I listened to Leanne's records or Allison's or Rhonda's. And it's just like, man, I can't believe that happened.